For the final time, Boardroom on! Hello and welcome to the Toadstool Boardroom for the week of February 13th, 2025. My name's Logan Plant, and I'm joined, as always, by Justin Corice.
Hey Logan, what's new?
A lot is new, and if you don't follow us on the social media that we call out at the end of every episode, well, then you might not know what's going on, but this is our last episode, and joining for the final time, it's Chris Shriver.
Boardroom on.
Wow, he said it.
He
said it. We got him. Boardroom on. Yeah, so this is it. This is the final episode of Toadstool Boardroom. It's episode 123. It's just too nice of a number not to end on, right? 1, 2, 3. We gotta call it now. No, not really. We're gonna get into it. The boardroom is ending. We'll talk all about that. And then we have a mountain of EGAD's emails that you all wrote in for the final show, which we're super psyched about. Over 20 listener questions that we'll be answering tonight. And then I'll tease way ahead to Logan's mystery final topic, which I'm very excited about. I don't think these guys know what it is at all.
No idea.
They have no idea. Yeah, they don't know what this is. I spent some hard time working on this, knowing this was going to be our last show, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be fun. But let's start right here. The boardroom is ending. Why? Well, it's because we all got in a huge fight over the rights to the logo. Chris tried to open a merch shop, and Odell sued, and it just got nasty. No, not really. The boardroom is ending because you may have seen I'm now the host of Nintendo Voice Chat over on IGN, which is very exciting. And it's just time for this one to end because of that, essentially. And I think that some listeners in our Discord pointed out, hey, you guys have done a great job of differentiating the two shows the last couple months. And I really appreciate that. And I'm glad that you all think that, because that's been a big effort on our part too. We even had a discussion about it on the show a couple months ago. That, hey, we might not hit the biggest news. We might talk about 2D Metroid for an hour like we did last week, just to make the two shows different. And so, yeah, could we do that forever? Maybe. But at the same time, if I have a fun idea for like a retrospective like that, or something to talk about, rather than splitting all this between two shows and coming up with the effort to do 2 shows a week, I got to pocket those ideas for maybe a slow week over on NVC, right? I think I owe it to the crew over there, to the company that I work for, and to myself just to go all in on one show at this point, and that show being NVC is just really exciting. So that's basically why I'm stepping away from the boardroom. Talked to these guys about it earlier this week, gave them the option. You can continue without me if you want. I'd love to be a listener. And you guys ultimately decided that this is just a kind of a natural ending point.
Yeah, and frankly, I'll be honest, it's hard to imagine there being a boardroom without our chairman, without Logan. I think that you're so essential to the show. I think the rest of us maybe, frankly, a little bit more interchangeable parts if you can get the right talent. But
no, not at all.
But I absolutely don't believe that it would be the same show without you, and the amount of time and effort and work that you put into these, including these hilariously long runs of show that we always have to review, we appreciate. And frankly, as 2 old people with families and full-time jobs outside of this, Chris and I couldn't do it to the same, I think, quality and standard that our audience is accustomed to and deserves, and so it makes more sense. By the same token, I will say, just my personal perspective, because our Logan is really the heart and soul of Toadstool Boardroom, just know that means that the heart and soul of the boardroom will be beating in Nintendo Voice Chat. So if you love what we do here and you want to hear more of that sort of thing, just know that like there's a very big element of it that you can continue to find if you just tune in over there.
Yeah, we recorded my first episode as host today over there, and my run of show was 4.5 pages long. So that'll just tell you that. Yeah, it's I'm cooking with the same sauce over there as over here, and yeah, really excited about it. But obviously sad. It is bittersweet. I adore the boardroom. It's been a blast the last few years, starting it off with Chris and Odell in 2022, and then Justin coming in after Odell was stolen from us by PlayStation. So it's just been a blast, and we've been on a really good run. We have a new console coming out in just a few months. We've made it through the doldrums of the end of the Switch generation, and yeah, that's just how timing of things goes sometimes. But yeah, so sorry we're ending it, but also I think sometimes it's okay for things to end at a good point when you can go out, feeling good about where it's at and going out on your own terms. So I'm also happy about it.
Yeah, I'm,
Chris,
I mean,
anything
I'm
you wanna add?
also, yeah, I'm super proud of the community that we've built too.
Me
Like
too.
in all the
Mhm.
time that we've been here, um, I've been, involved in other shows, and it's not the easiest thing to kind of drum up. Um, and we really do have like awesome people that I look forward to, and
We
I'll
do.
I'll
Mhm.
continue to talk to literally every day. In that Discord, like we do not plan on
Mhm.
closing that anytime soon. As of now, um, and as far as like game nights are concerned, like it doesn't have to be any of us three organizing anything. Like you are more than welcome to be like, yo, Shriver, do you want to pick a night to play Halo? Because I know there's some people out there, we've talked about it for long enough,
Yeah.
that want to do that, or even just chat about the new console when that comes out. um, like it doesn't, just because we are the hosts of this thing that is now coming to an end, like we are still people too. So like if anybody does want
Mhm.
to chat video games, like we're always there for that. I mean, and the other thing I just want to mention is just like how grateful I am to have been able to do this. I think past shows that I was on, um, I've I spent a lot of time being a part of like conversations that on games that I didn't really have familiarity with. And what I loved about this show was, um, because it was so Nintendo centric, I was able to focus on, like I have, my entire like video game lineage is like rooted in Nintendo games. So,
Mhm.
even if I'm not playing things actively right now, because of where I'm at in life, I still, had the ability to feel like I was contributing somewhat. But to Justin's earlier point, he and I are crazy busy. Um, my home is only getting crazier with just some personal stuff that I've had going on the past couple of months. Um, with my family, and it's going to be, I think, good for everybody at home to kind of have me around just that extra day. Because what you guys don't know is the show usually ends, Justin uploads it, and then I stay up until about 12:30 on Wednesday night editing it,
Mhm.
and then I wake up whenever my son decides to wake up every day, which is
Mhm.
usually like 6 o'clock. Um, and then the following day, I'm usually a zombie for the whole day. So having that balance will probably do me some good.
Mhm.
So I think that was one of the reasons that I kind of felt like it was time to kind of close this chapter, as much as it does suck, because like
Yeah.
I did social media at IGN forever. Yeah, I met a bunch of people doing that. Um, and then, and I think through that, for the whole time I was there was that pipe dream of like, well, maybe I'll work at IGN someday. And the fact that I got to be a part of something with these two guys, and now somebody that like I look up to and have looked up to throughout this whole thing, is now carrying the mantle and is going to be hosting like one of my favorite Nintendo podcasts that I've listened to like since the Jose days. Like it's, I couldn't ask for more than that, honestly. Like as far as the opportunities that have been given to me, and the path that life has kind of taken me, being able to at least be a part of Logan's journey, um, has been really, really cool to see. And I know beyond the show, like we're still gonna, chat and everything
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Mhm.
But Logan still calls me every now and then just to be like, hey, I
You
need to
do.
have a live chat about whatever. So, um, and Justin, like it's been so awesome getting to know you too throughout all this. Like I do want to continue to, play games together and chat about life and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. You're
Because
never getting rid of me, Chris.
I know,
Mhm.
and you're so quick witted too. Like there aren't that many
He
people that
is.
I've ever come
Mhm.
in contact with that like you genuinely will get laughs out of me that I just like, it just makes my
Mhm.
day. So I love you guys, and I'm really happy to have been a part of this.
Yeah, I love you guys too. It's yeah, and we'll be friends. We'll chat, of course. Justin and I played
Yeah.
Splatoon the other night, and my cat threw up the most I've ever seen him vomit. It was insane. Oh my gosh, Justin heard my
It
live
was hilarious to listen
reaction to
to.
that.
I did.
It was unbelievable. I can't even explain how
What
much it
was it?
was. Sorry,
Was it
I
like
don't.
food?
It was food. Yeah. Okay.
Oh man.
Sorry, I don't need to.
Uh,
There's some people that might
I'll
not like
check
to
cat
hear that.
tummy.
But
that's fine.
yeah, it was really gross. It was disgusting, but Justin was there for that, and that was nice. But no, Chris, I mean, you're my hero because whenever you've missed a week and I have to edit the show, I'm like, oh my god, I am so grateful that Chris Schreiber does this.
I hope everybody really understands that, like, the man behind the curtain, like, when you get past the Wizard of Oz, is Chris Schreiber right here. Like, he is,
Yes.
like he is the magician. He is the one making all this happen. And so if you have enjoyed the show, like Chris deserves as much credit as anybody for making it happen. Including, like, if you like our, like, title graphics and things like that. Like, the dude builds them every week. It's crazy.
He does. He does. He's a hero. So thank you, Chris. And I always offered to take it off your hands if you were ever too busy, and you're always like, nope. I'm like, whew, okay. I mean, I would do it. I really
but you would
want
hate
to.
it. You would hate it so much.
So I'm so glad that you did it all the way. And yeah, I'll type the six page run of show. I love doing that stuff.
Well,
but,
man. I mean, like, if it was just me and Justin for forever, like, I know I wouldn't do it. Like, I feel like it would get to a point where you guys would know. It's like, man, this show just is not the same without Logan here.
Well, I love the Asylum episode so much. Great energy, great discussions. But when I'm listening to the Donkey Kong one and Justin's like, we're just going off this Wikipedia list, I'm like, okay. All right, well, we'll see if they get everything. So, yeah, it's a different vibe, but I love it. Okay, we have a lot to talk about, guys, because we announced in Discord and on social media that the boardroom was ending, and you all delivered. You sent in over 20 listener questions that we're going to get to right now, so buckle in. It's our final EGADS emails segment. And yeah, we have some leftovers from before we announced the show was ending, and then we'll get into the ones that were asked after we announced the show was ending, which are kind of wider in scope because of the added context. And to everyone that sent in kind messages and words to the show as a whole or us individually, like, thank you. Extremely meaningful, extremely kind. You all are the best. Not going to read those here. One, we could just keep it between us. It was very, very nice, and we read every word. And two, this show would probably be 3 hours if we did. So we really appreciate that stuff. But we'll stick it just to the questions for this segment, which you sent to toadstoolboardroom@gmail.com. These came from before we announced the show was ending. Jake asked, if you'll humor me, which, if any, of these pipe dream game concepts that live in my head would you most want to play? Here are the choices. Side-scroller Zelda Metroidvania, top-down 2D Metroid, Wario Kart, Road Rash-like with Wario Biker Gang, Donkey Kong 3D Country, or a Mario GTA. This one's crazy, by the way. This last one, like, all the other ones are like, I can see that. And then the last one here is Mario GTA-like that stitches together several Mario gameplay mechanics. Paper Mario's story, kart transportation, Smash Brothers fighting, sports minigames, etc. That one's nuts. It's too nuts for me to even consider personally, so I'm eliminating that one from my personal list. It's got to be side-scroller Zelda Metroidvania. When I played Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown last year, all I could think was this is like a Zelda game because he has time powers, he can rewind, he can freeze objects. It feels very, very Zelda-like. The combat's very Zelda-like too. That's the pick. I want that team is now making Rayman or something like that. They don't get to make a Prince of Persia sequel, but I wish that exact team would make a side-scroller Zelda game. Justin, how about you?
I like that for your choice. You just chose Zelda 2.
I did. Zelda 2 deserves another shot.
Oh, it's great.
It's cool. It's just brutal.
Yeah. For me, I swear Jake must have been in my head at one point. Like, as soon as you drop Road Rash, you know I'm in. Wario Biker Gang Racer, where you're swinging chains and probably all sorts of other dumb things, like Wario style, at people as you race. Mm-hmm. Amazing. Yeah, that sounds incredible. I can easily picture Wario literally, like, picking up the motorcycle next to him and bashing people over the head with it while he's racing. That sounds like a perfect fever dream of a game that I would love to play.
Chris, I'm gonna guess that's the pick for you too, unless it's Donkey Kong.
Yeah, that's
okay.
I mean, well, it's close because, like, earlier today I was like, it's Donkey Kong 3D Country, and, like, just hearing Justin describe that, I'm like, nah, it's Wario. Like,
so fun.
If nothing else, for the voice acting alone, like, would be incredible. Like, oh, wow, like just stuff
Oh,
going
yeah.
crazy.
That was so good.
Yeah, I would give anything for that game. They'll never make it,
Yeah.
but like imagine
Yeah.
imagine like the poppy nature of a WarioWare Inc. game, like GBA GameCube era, and but also like just totally brutal, where you're like throwing chains at wheels and like people are exploding and oh wah yeah.
There it is.
Excellent.
The Wario image overlay over Shriver's
We-
picture. Very good.
We always no, I messed this stuff up.
Now Justin's gone.
Now Justin's gone from the
Yep.
video
Okay,
feed.
he's back.
There we go.
And
we go.
Chris is back. Yeah, I like how the first two here are just kind of flipping the franchises around. Side-scroller Zelda Metroid game, and then a top-down 2D Zelda game, but it's Metroid, right? You're just flipping those two. And then it's Wario Kart, Donkey Kong. Like, I love all the picks here. There is an awesome cast of characters in WarioWare that doesn't ever get seen outside of it. Like Orbulon and Ashley and Kat and
Jimmy.
Anna and all. Yes, Jimmy. Jimmy is awesome. Yeah,
Jimmy's
there's
the
so many
man.
great ones. And they don't get used in anything but WarioWare. Give them a spin-off title. I can't bang that drum, though, because I'm still banging the bongos for Donkey Kong right now. I need a brand new Donkey Kong game. But thank you, Jake, for sending that in. Question 2. Because someone in the Discord, I think it was Squidcal, said they were going to count to make sure we hit 20. So I'll count for you. Question 2. This one comes from Harry, who says, as an indie nerd myself, it's often difficult to try and find true, new, and exciting indies in the eShop without going to other websites or Steam for suggestions. How do you think Nintendo can create opportunities for indie games to get better spotlights on the Switch 2's eShop? Harry, outstanding question. I'll say it. This is exactly the kind of question I look for when I'm soliciting questions. It's really, really good. Yeah, the eShop's terrible. It's one of the worst things about the Nintendo Switch, hands down. Its discoverability is awful. It runs at the worst frame rate of it's worse than any game on Switch, right? It runs so badly. It's unreal how terribly it runs. And there's no sorting options. There's great deals, but anyone can just put anything on sale. I don't remember Bouncy Bob, that really terrible platformer that they sold for a penny, and then it appeared on the charts for 2 months because everyone bought it because it was a penny. Just horrible discoverability. And I think I look at the PlayStation Store on PS5. It's pretty good. They have sales and deals and collections, and if you like this, you might like this, and it runs well. I really think that's just the model to look at. There already are solutions out there that organize these things much better, and it's something Nintendo needs to fix.
Yeah, I think that this is a common issue with indie games, is like, how do you surface the ones that are really good and really worthwhile? And it's been an issue for as long as we've had indie games. And I think there's a few ways that you can approach it. Like curation matters. Like have the platform holders surfacing games that are good and that they've played. Like again, something like in the eShop, or even giving it its own app, but like a recommended list, indie favorites list, something like that, where like somebody is actually playing these games and putting recs forth that you can easily find. That sort of thing goes a really long way. To me, honestly, I think the best way that I've seen indies be promoted is back when Xbox used to do things like its
Summer of Arcade.
Summer of Arcade. That's what I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly that. Where like not only are they like, putting them in you can click on, but like they would feature a new one a week or something like that, and like promote it, and you would see the little like ads for it and things like that. And again, like you can select some incredible titles to put forth that way, and it's a really good way to get those in front of people. More indie focused directs could be good as well. But that's really what it is. It's a discoverability issue first and foremost, because there is so much noise out there. Because it can either be drowned out by a high volume of crap, or it can be drowned out by the giant mega titles. Like it would be really hard to promote a game coming at the end of February right now when we got Monster Hunter about to drop. But if there was a special shelf for it or something like that, that could do the job.
Yeah, and they do try to sort things into, there was a Hidden Gems collection or something like that was on Switch on the eShop, and it's in their featured page, but you have to scroll down so far to get to that tab because they're advertising all their first-party stuff, they're advertising NSO, they're advertising the catalog of stuff that was in the last Nintendo Direct, and I don't know who has the patience to do that because it takes so long to load. I don't know. I have started browsing the eShop on Nintendo.com on my computer or my phone because you can direct download to your Switch from there because it is such a miserable experience on the eShop, and that's the main thing they need to fix. Chris, do you still use the eShop or do you go to the desktop like I do?
There's actually a new one that has been like curated by the community called Better eShop.
Okay, classic.
Yeah. Classic Chris.
That's a very Chris
So
Schreiber
extra.
answer.
So
but
extra.
it runs really well. It's a really good
Okay.
way to find those hidden gems that you're talking about. There's a lot that I think,
Look at that.
as far as I'm aware, I don't know of any of the platform holders that do this. I don't know how there isn't a way to sort by, especially like because I know PlayStation has, I know Xbox does too. No, they all do. Sort by most games most played by hours on your friends list. Like if I went into Logan's friend or my friends list, looked up Logan, and it was like, what game has he played the most? And like I saw it was Tears of the Kingdom. I'd be like, okay, maybe I should pick that up because like
Endless
he's got a
Ocean.
million billion hours in it. Endless Ocean, exactly. That and then like an average of like out of all your friends in your list, like these are the games that are played the most on average. Or because like they're collecting that data to some degree. Like what are the games that
they
people
have
are
the
sticking with?
trending page, but the trending page isn't built into the eShop. It's built into your
Also,
accounts.
what is that?
Nobody
like, what
knows
is that
that's there.
Nobody knows
I
what
don't
that
know.
means.
Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
like I don't know what does that mean trending on the eShop.
The
Yeah, I don't
only
know, it
use,
bothers
and
me.
this is, I guess I'll share an extra thing. The only good use for the trending page is in the first 10 days you've had a game when you can't see how many hours you've played it on your own profile. You can go to someone else's profile, go to their trending page if you're friends with them, and then it will tell you how long you've played that game. That's all I've ever used it for.
I did not know
So dumb.
you could do that.
Yeah.
Also,
So it's a mess.
Better eShop, by the way, is apparently actually put on by Nintendo Life. So shout out to those folks.
Oh,
Hey, there you go.
nice. Very cool.
Um,
Okay, that was question 2. We should probably move on to question 3.
There's a lot of questions.
And question 3,
There is.
4, and 5 all come from Red, who emailed in a little bit before or last week, and then one extra question this week. So we're up to 5 now. And Red says, "Hello, Boardroom. 2 quick questions. Are you guys concerned after the reveal of the Nintendo Switch 2 with how the Joy-Con connect? Do you think the connectors should be switched around so that way, in case you dropped it and they ended up breaking off, you would only have to buy new Joy-Cons instead of a whole new system?" I'm not worried about this. Everyone seems
not
very
either.
worried about this. I'm not worried about it at all. You're not either, Chris?
no, I mean, it's gonna remain to be seen. I think it would have to fall a very specific way.
Yeah.
Like you would have to. The body of the Switch would have to hit something. I don't even know. Like I don't.
Or
I don't
you'd
know
have to
without
drop
seeing
it, and the Joy-Con specifically would have to hit a table or something.
That's what I mean. Like, I feel like you'd have to
But-
crack it over your knee or something, like, in order for it to break, like, right there. It's like, yeah, well, obviously it broke off. Like, unless
Yeah.
you're, like, holding it by a Joy-Con and you slam it on a table. Like, I don't know. I don't know if just dropping it's going to do anything. I don't know how rough
Yeah, and-
people are with their stuff, though.
And then there was just a patent. One of the patents that surfaced this week talked about how the Joy-Con connects to the system and how you have to hit 2 buttons to release it, essentially. And it's detaching 2 different magnetic connections. It seems like it's going to be pretty strong. It's not the connector that's holding the Joy-Con in place. That's the connector that's making the Switch recognize there's a Joy-Con plugged into it. It's how you can control it and charge it from the system. But it's not. That's not what's holding it in place. It's the magnets. And also, I know they have released weak products before. DS hinges snapped. Joy-Cons drifted. There's been bad stuff. If this wasn't better than the way it's been for the Switch 1, why would they do it? Why
They
would they
wouldn't
be
do it.
changing to the
Yeah.
Snap-on? They wouldn't. So I'm not worried about it.
I'm a little worried. Yeah,
He's worried.
Yeah, honestly, a little bit, like for the reasons that you discussed. And again, I'm probably in an edge case where it's probably not likely to affect me because most going to be docked with a Pro controller, whatever that version of it is. But yeah, they do look like relatively small pieces. I don't know how strong the plastic is. I don't know if somebody's toddler picks up one out of the dock that doesn't have the Joy-Con on it and pushes their thumbs into it, if it's going to either bend or scrape, or if the metal contacts can get damaged or dirty easily. So I think it's a pretty reasonable concern. My hope is that Nintendo has considered these and has built it around that. But I also know that as much as we love Nintendo, they do have a couple of instances of some design flaws, and sometimes they don't. As cool and creative and interesting as they are, sometimes they don't always think of all the different ways that people use or manipulate their devices. And so, is there possibly a certain direction something can be touched or pushed, or a mini game you play where you turn it sideways and set it on the base and then rub your finger on it in the game? Maybe, yeah. And so it's not a critical concern, and it's not one that's going to affect my buying decision, but it's definitely one where if 3 months after launch we start hear about people having to send them in for repairs on that, I'm not going to be entirely shocked.
Yeah, I won't be either, because I don't think people take very good care of their stuff in general. So I think this will happen to some people.
I'm not worried about
not...
me, but to your point, I am worried about James. Like, just, going ham.
Yeah, we'll see. Like, the big thing when the Switch 1 came out was the dock is bent, so it's scratching the Switch when I put it in. Everyone lost their minds, and then I never heard about that again after the first 6 months. I don't know.
So in my launch Switch, I had to send into repairs because, at least in the early going, it seemed like if you didn't put in the dock exactly right, it would eventually bend the little pins in a way such that you're not getting video output anymore through the dock. And I think that's another that was quietly revised behind the scenes, because after that being a big thing right at first, stopped being a thing. But like, again, there's just like, I think people were taking them in and out of docks many magnitude of times more frequently than people expected, or something like that. So like, yeah, it could happen.
Red's second question is, what do you guys think will happen with Joy-Con pricing? Did they finally get it down in price a little, or do you think it stays the same with the upgrades to it, or does it become more expensive, $80 to $100? I think it's going to be more expensive. Joy-Con right now are $79.99 for a pair. I think at its bare minimum stays the same, and I see it going up. These things are mice now. They
look more
bigger.
Expensive.
Yeah, they do look more expensive. The Switch 2 is going to be more expensive. Everything is getting more expensive. Yeah. It's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, and that's not even including potential like global economic factors. Like they literally they look more. They look like they have more technology in them, and I think that's going to cost.
Yeah,
$100.
I could see it too. Yeah,
I don't want it to be.
80.
What are they now? 80, right? They're 80
Yeah.
or like they'll bump it to 100.
Yeah,
They either it's that or they won't move it. It's not going to get cheaper. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm hoping. I don't know if this will be true. And now there's mice capabilities in this, so we'll see. I'm hoping that there's just not as many games that need it on Switch 2, and I can just use my Pro Controller mostly. Yep. Kind of like DS to 3DS, we saw a lot less use of the touchscreen, less use of holding it sideways, and these things that the DS did that was very novel. And then the 3DS was about playing more powerful games in a more comfortable way. I'm hoping it's kind of the same here. I'm excited to play Kid Icarus Uprising HD with my mouse control, but beyond that, I hope to mostly be using a Pro Controller. No Mario parties that require a single Joy-Con held sideways. I just want to be able to play stuff with the Pro Controller. And I really hope that patent doesn't come true that shows them splitting a Pro Controller in half and then it having mouse functionality. Don't mess with the Pro Controller, please. That's another topic, though. And then Red's final question, which brings us to number 5, is with the Nintendo Switch 2 coming out, is this the year Nintendo makes the jump and all their games are $70 like the rest of the consoles? Chris, what do you think?
No. I think they're going to continue to do the thing that they did with Tears of the Kingdom, where it's like if they have a big AAA blockbuster that they've invested like years and years and years into developing, then yeah, that game will be $70. But your remakes at least will be $60.
I hope
because
so.
they have been already, right? But I would hope any standard title is is 60. Like Mario Kart, I think if you don't get it bundled, will be 70, and that'll be the incentive for people to get. Like if that $350 model is true, $350 model is true, like that'll be the one to get. Similar to like what they did with Nintendo Land with the Wii U.
$350 or $450?
I thought I heard $350
for
maybe
Switch
I'm wrong.
and Mario Kart. No way.
That's true. Yeah, no, because that's
it was $450.
Maybe I'm you know what, I'm thinking of the OLED bundle now. That's what it is. Yeah, $450.
And that rumor came from nobody seems to know where. It kind of
nobody knows where that came from. It was some guy on a podcast talking about Xbox, and it was like, okay, seems real legit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll start a rumor that they're announcing Kirby tomorrow. Yeah, I posted on Blue Sky that I was hoping they'd announce Robobot this morning, and then they didn't. I really thought they were gonna. I thought I had them nailed, but they didn't do it. Yeah, not because I know anything, just because it was like, oh, there's nothing going on this week. Like, there's just
Yeah.
nothing happening. They have to do something. Justin, are games $70 now?
Yeah, they are. And in fact, I think what we're gonna see, and they may not make the switch this year necessarily, but I think we're right on the cusp of 70 being the default, and then the Legend of Zelda Oregano of Francois or whatever the next one is going to be will be the first $80 title.
80. Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
I hope
Ooh,
I
that
hope you're
hurts.
wrong, but I think you're right.
I don't. I think 70 will stick. I think that the rest of the industry it's just they might do what they do. Monster Hunter you can get for $70, or you can get all the cosmetics for 90, or all the cosmetics plus more cosmetics for 120. And there's enough people that do that, or get the edition with the statue, that I don't know. 80 seems like such a tough ask for games still aimed at families to me. We'll see though.
Yeah.
I agree with Chris. I think it's 70 for big first party stuff. Mario Kart, 3D Mario, Zelda, and I would hope for smaller tier, maybe a Mario sports game. I think that it would be criminal to them and to us to price it at 70. I don't think the next Mario Tennis flies off the shelves if it's $70. I just don't. I think it does if it's 60, but 70, that's a tough ask for people. Okay, question number 6 comes from Dwayne's Games, who says, do you think the next Animal Crossing game would work as a Lego game? Yes, but I don't want it. The Lego Horizon Adventures was exciting because it was a video game franchise being turned into a Lego game, but then by all accounts, that game was just fine. And I don't know. It depends who makes it. Nintendo partnering with Lego makes sense. They're doing it with their sets right now. I think there could be a game, but I'd rather just have the next Animal Crossing. I don't need that license to be paired off with Lego for a game I'd be excited about.
It could be a really good vehicle to give you more building control over like your homes and structures for like the actual like architecture of it, and so that could be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it would be fun, and then buy some sets, build a little Animal Crossing village. I think it sounds like perfectly fun.
I don't think they'll do it. Mainly because I think if they were ever going to make a game with that much, like that level of granularity, of creation, they would make it like its own IP. I don't think they'd want to muddy the waters of what Animal Crossing is today.
Yeah, I agree. I want a Lego Zelda game that's like co-op, just Lego game style, maybe a retelling of
just like a Traveler's Tales
like
style.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
It'd
cool.
be really fun.
I will say that the cast of characters would get a lot of fun because they go crazy with those.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's like, oh, you're playing as the Carpenters from Kakariko Village. They'd be in there. It'd be so much fun. Yeah.
All right.
Can carry around a giant 2x4 on my shoulder. Yeah. Be great. Those are all the questions we got from before we announced that we were shutting down shop here in the boardroom. So let's get into the ones from after we announced. And I was thinking about this earlier. If you were actually shutting down like a boardroom, don't you think the last day would be just be purging your email inbox? I think it's very fitting what we're doing here in the boardroom. Just click.
Oh, we're
click
burning
red,
so many
reply.
financial files so that they can never catch us. Yeah.
Yeah, they can't. They can never find us. What we did. Yeah. All those amiibo we bought. All those. What did you just buy, Chris? Some
Embezzling
Donkey Kong 64 vinyl.
Yeah, Grant Kirkhope recomposed Donkey Kong 64 soundtrack.
That's so cool.
Or reorchestrated, yeah.
So this is question 7 and 8 because 2 people asked it, but I'm only going to read it once. And the question was, if you can make the Toadstool Boardroom theme song available on Spotify, I want to add it to my video game music playlist. Chris, you have some info on that.
Yes. So that song was composed by one Felix Sanchez from Nintendo Life. I have reached out to him. So our license agreement with him is that we're allowed to use it within the podcast, intro, outro, what have you. It does not include hosting it on Spotify. I have reached out to him and said, hey, our fans really like the song. I really like the song. I want it on Spotify too.
Maybe we should get him to upload it.
Well, that's what I said. I was like, so you have to have an artist profile on Spotify. And I was like, look, I don't know if you have any other music available. If you search for Felix Sanchez on Spotify, you get a lot of different results. So I was like, if you have an artist profile or if you're planning on doing this, I would love it if you put the song out there for the masses and it was just there and available. Or if he's okay with it, I'll put it up and credit him, but I'm not going to make the artist Felix Sanchez because I don't own, like, that's not me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not the artist there. So we're trying to figure out, I haven't heard back from him yet. I reached out to him on Blue Sky. He is on a 2-week hiatus on Blue Sky right now because of world events, and he's taking a break from it, which I totally understand. So when I hear back from him, I'll probably drop a message to these guys and then in the Discord, and we'll go from there. But for now, it is not on there.
Yeah, so stay tuned to social media on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a shame. We just got the theme song, and it's so great. I love it so much. So thank you to
Bring it to
Felix for
Nintendo Music
composing it.
Cowards.
Yeah, that'd be so wonderful. And thank you to Chad again for reaching out and
commissioning
making that whole thing happen. And sorry that we're shutting down after only using it for a couple months, but it was super fun to have that bring in the show every week.
Amazing.
It's
what a great surprise that was too.
Yeah, amazing. Just
all-time
we
highlight of this show.
Yeah. Question 9. I'm losing track. I think it's 9.
You said you were
9.
counting. I'm not counting.
Comes. I'm trying. From Tanner, who says, with only a little confirmed information on the Switch 2, what things are on your personal wish list of reasonable, and then in parentheses, reasonable as in there is a realistic chance of thing happening, things that you hope they implement? Is there anything technical, game-wise, system-wise, such as using a specific type of chip in the processor, performance boost on select games, return of themes? What do you want? With so many years between the development of the 2 Switches, there are many possibilities for what they might implement. Again, thank you for all the shows and best wishes. Thank you, Tanner. Chris, is there a specific chip in the processor that you want in the Switch 2? I have no answer for that.
I mean, not specific chip, because, I'm not going to get into that. But basically, all I really want is if I can automatically boost games from the Switch 1 generation at 1080p, 60 FPS, I will be happy as can possibly be.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's even feasible or and that's with like NVIDIA AI upscaling. Like if they're gonna add DLSS on that chip, that's totally fine. I want the menu to be in 4K though. I want the system menu in 4K. I'm so sick of it being in 1080p and all those graphics being at a lower resolution than my TV. It's really bothering me. And I'm not the only person that said that. Tim Geddes has also said that.
Yeah, but you have
other
the
than
world
that,
at your fingertips, and your pick is higher res thumbnails on the home screen.
These are the things that matter to me.
I guess you spend more time looking at those thumbnails than playing them. So
you're not wrong.
That was me.
That's why he makes our thumbnails.
Yeah. That's why you need them. Yeah, just display it. Just have it as your background idle display in your living room.
I have a few more. I want day one. I want to be able to use Bluetooth headphones. I don't want to have to wait
great call.
2 or 3 years for an update that lets me do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And no delay. No half a second delay on the Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Just
which
make it
still
work.
is on Switch. Yeah.
My Vita could do it. Make it happen.
Yeah. What else?
I forget what the other one was. It's fine.
I'm sure it was something of that ilk.
Dolby
So
Atmos audio. I want Dolby Atmos
Okay,
audio because I just got a Sonos soundbar.
Yeah. Justin, what's on your wish list?
Sort of similar to Chris. A lot of mine are performance oriented. I do like performance quite a bit. Something that has always been like rumored and theorized with the Switch consoles is the possibility of having greater performance docked and having actually something in the dock like a almost built-in expansion module to give you better performance. That way, when you're portable and you're on the smaller, lower res screen, you don't have to push as hard a graphics. Then you have something that'll let you have the same frame rate when you're pushing a probably upscaled 1080.
You see one of these?
I love that that's just there.
I would like for them to take that out of the Nintendo 64s and put them into the dock.
Yeah.
Give me all 8 meg of RAM.
That's all they need. That's the number they've been missing.
That is that's the difference between that and a RTX 5090. And so that's what I would like. I would like for them to like not differentiate, but like have a built-in way for it to optimize those experiences, like more specifically and directly. So I think that would be great. We've talked a lot about the potential advantages of things like AI upscaling and how that can improve performance without having it to be just like brute force hardware. So features like that would be really appealing and important to me. And I will say the other one, and I don't think any of the console manufacturers do a good job of this, and I think Nintendo frankly does a pretty terrible job of it, is like setting up a proper single like inner household system for managing a family of consoles. When you have multiple Switches in one space, if you have, a couple of kids or something like that, do it, set it up in a way such that you can share your, purchase one game for a household and have multiple people play it. You can do it with two. It's not great the way it works, but you can do it with two.
No, it's pretty rough.
Yeah, and so if they could solve for that, I would be a happy guy.
Do what Steam did. They never will, but they should.
Mm-hmm.
The family sharing?
Yeah, it's like a game changer.
They never will.
Yeah.
No, they won't.
But hey, it's my wish list, so I get to ask for it.
Yeah, it is. Hey, but it had to be reasonable, as in there's a realistic chance of thing happening, according to Tanner.
That's true. A good way to share is not a realistic.
It's not a reasonable wish. No, wish denied. My list, this may not be reasonable because they've never done it before, but I think it is reasonable in that it's the Switch 2. Just bring everything over and make it easy. All my purchases, all my DLC, my profile, my icon, all of that. Bring it over. Keep NSO library as it is. Do not start over. Do not make me get excited when you tweet that Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels is now available on the NES app on Switch 2. I'm not doing it again. That needs to be there. I think it will. I'm thinking the infrastructure will be similar enough that that's a thing. Themes, Tanner mentioned, I want themes. I can't believe there's a theme menu, and 8 years later, it's still basic white and basic black. That's crazy. Why is that menu even there? It's unreal that that's how they did it this generation. So I want themes. Badge Arcade feels like dreaming, but that was so much fun on 3DS. But I'll take themes to start, get there down the line. And then I want a better eShop. We already talked about it, but it's a really big deal to me. I think they're making it hard for people to buy games on their systems, and that's just ridiculous. So a better eShop. And then that's mostly what I want. I'm happy. I'm a happy camper otherwise with the Switch. It's great. And no Joy-Con drift. Absolutely no Joy-Con drift. Get that figured out. Yeah. Hopefully. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm excited for a new console and to see what it actually looks like. There's still so many unknowns. That was question 9. Let's go on to email number 10. It's not a question though, so we'll see if we get to 20. I may have overpromised. Blee says, not a question, but just a quick message. I just want to say thank you to our fearless leaders, Logan, Chris, and Justin. Shout out to Odell for all the wonderful Nintendo podcast content you provided over the years. I'll always find it hilarious that I accidentally started Boardroom On when I called into the 100th episode and couldn't think of a way to end the message. Never did I think that would catch on in the community. Boardroom Forever. And now, Blee, you've named the final episode of the Toadstool Boardroom, Boardroom Forever. So congrats. You can put that notch in your belt, too.
Yeah, actually, the reason we're ending is we can't afford the royalties for every time we've said Boardroom On.
We can't. We owe way too much money. That's the financial data we're erasing right now. Yeah. Okay, next question. Question number 11 from Rafe. What new reimagining or fusion of existing IPs would you like to see on Switch 2? Example, Zelda RPG. Well, I already said I want a Zelda Metroidvania, but I will try to come up with something else to make this more interesting. So, Chris, I'll put you on the spot.
The first thing that came to mind was a Metroid looter shooter.
They made that. It's called Federation Force.
Oh my God, no. That's not the same thing. No,
Okay.
that's not what I want. No, I want
Okay.
like maybe not the scale. No, definitely not the scale of Destiny, but like a single player, like looter shooter type of Metroidvania game.
I can see they're working in like collecting armor upgrades that way and building out like your set. And maybe if it's multiplayer, your abilities can gear towards different things and different stats and things like that. I think that could be fun.
Yeah.
It goes to show what a good place Metroid is in right now, because if you had said that idea 10 years ago, people would have been so mad at you. They would have said, no, we need a normal Metroid video game. Don't make that. But yeah, it's time for Metroid spin-offs. I want to see them grow.
You're getting a mouse.
Why
You
not?
might as well.
You're getting a mouse. Yeah. Justin, how about you?
Ooh, I like something like a Zelda like pure RPG is pretty appealing because I care a lot about the story, and that tends to be the most story heavy genre. So I do like that idea quite a bit. I will say something I'm conscious about is like, don't always make my suggestions Zelda stuff just because I love Zelda. Even though I do a lot. And so I would also I would love to see them lean into like actual like strategy games a little bit more. They've done that a little bit with obviously Fire Emblem, things like that, but like give me a Fire Emblem RTS. Like let me actually like command legions of soldiers, but keep that same like rock paper scissors advantage disadvantage system. So I've got to make deliberate choices about what weapons we send in, and mounted units and armored units and things like that. I think that would be a ton of fun.
Did you play Battalion Wars on the Wii and the GameCube?
But nah.
Yeah, that was like Advance Wars turned into like a real-time thing. I don't think it was an RTS though. I think it was just like I never played them. I don't think
it was
an
like
RTS. And people don't like those games. I was just wondering if you played them. Chris, I thought you were about to talk about.
No,
okay.
For some reason, what I remember of that game, and this is like fourth grade brain, so I'm really going back.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost like an Army Dynasty Warriors type,
yeah,
or kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just remember like that radar being like front and center on the screen, and then like the controls being really stiff. A friend of mine had it.
Can you believe there was a world where Nintendo greenlit an Advance Wars spin-off? My God, what a different time!
What a time!
That series is so
now,
gone.
Now they firmly red light that series entirely.
Yeah, it's out of here. I agree, Justin. I think that more strategy RPGs or RTSs would be cool because right now the only like Nintendo RTS is Pikmin, and that barely counts. It's really its own thing, so that'd be cool. And then Zelda Fire Emblem would be really cool. A Zelda strategy grid-based RPG is a dream, and Retro pitched one. They didn't greenlight it, but so my picks, I think it's boring because I've said them before, but I'll say them again. I want a F-Zero Yakuza game where Captain Falcon runs around an open zone Mute City and uses his smash move set in brawler combat and then gets in the car and does races. Dream game. RGG make it. They made the last F-Zero game, so that would be my dream.
I was saying, like, in a similar note, I was thinking earlier that a like Mario beat 'em up where you play as like Zelda and like Rosalina and things like that could be pretty fun, like Double Dragon style.
Yeah, sure. Mario Warriors we never got, and I kind of thought that was something that they would do eventually, where Mario was just ripping through 2,000 Goombas at one time. I thought that there was a world where
swinging a hammer.
That'd be super fun.
How does that even make sense? Ridiculous.
I really hope we see a Nintendo Warriors game at the April 2nd Direct. It's a really easy launchier title. Could be beefed up, better frame rate, run nicer on Switch too. I really want to see another Warriors game. I've been calling Xenoblade Warriors for years. Maybe I will call it again on Switch too.
Yeah,
but my true pick for this, I want a Splatoon platformer, a 2D platformer with Splatoon. And I've talked about this dream before, but just thinking about how well Splatoon could work in a Metroidvania setting where you're gathering different weapons. You get the roller and you can do different things once you have it. Once you have the dualies, different things. There's so many different weapon and traversal types in Splatoon. And I think it's time for a Splatoon spin-off. I think that 3 games, 2 of them have sold over 10 million copies. They're huge hits. I think it's time to expand that franchise beyond just the multiplayer ones that it is, because there's some people that aren't interested in that, but there's a really cool world they've built, and they can move that into a different genre. So I want a Splatoon spin-off on Switch too.
And I mean, we've seen them, with a single-player roguelite mode. So like, it's fun to control your characters regardless of if you're in a competitive match. So
totally.
It's like that's really cool. And like, I can even see them borrowing, at least some of the better moves from like Mario Sunshine, where he would use the flood to like glide over gaps and things like that. You could do the exact same thing with ink and stuff,
like the inkjet. Yeah. So more for Splatoon. If we're waiting for Splatoon 4, which I don't know if we are, but I'd really like to see that. Okay, next I think is email 12 from Tyler, who asks, if you all could spend a day with one game dev or creator, who would it be and why? Justin?
For me, it would be Kojima. And I understand that's not Super Nintendo specific, but I think in the industry there's a very, very small handful of actual auteurs, like people who are like pure artists with those minds that just look at things differently. And obviously Nintendo is fortunate to have several folks like that, Miyamoto probably being one of the big examples. But I really think that as a big fan of like the Metal Gear series and a big fan of Death Stranding and all that stuff, I think that picking his brain would be incredible. I think that you'd probably end up watching a lot of really cool random movies and things like that, and it would just be a very good time in general. And it would be a chance to like really get to know like a master craftsman, and ideally, if you spend enough time with them, you can break down that kind of initial like wall and like really get to know somebody, really get down to brass tacks, ideally get a couple of drinks in them too, and really let that guard down and find out just what makes him tick.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Chris?
Gabe Newell, probably. Yeah, I would just want to pick his brain like about technology, business. The way he approaches problem solving is like it's at least what he's like talked about and written about, and it has like influenced the way that I approach different problems at work, and it's really helped a lot. I feel like I'd be able to learn a lot from him, and I feel like they have like Valve has they've really like I don't even know what the phrase is that I'm trying to use. Charted the course, I guess, laid the groundwork of like a lot of like really influential technologies, just that are like still used in games today, or at least like they were the first ones to implement a lot of things that are used today. And I really want to talk to him about human brain interfaces and why that didn't happen. Like, what problems did they encounter there? Because like, if you don't know, that was like a whole thing after VR. Like, they were trying to figure out like, okay, well, how do we hook into a person's brain so that like they can experience like, if you're an octopus, like, well, now you have a tentacle, like, and you can control that with your brain. And like, there's some interview where he talks about like that tricking your brain into thinking that you have a tentacle for an arm is easy. What's difficult is like adjusting temperature and things like that, like the world around you. Like, you can't trick your brain into like, well, your room's actually 70 degrees, but you're in a frozen tundra and it's 30. Like, you can't do that. So like, just weird questions like that I would ask him for sure.
It's very weird, but cool.
Yeah.
Those are very on-brand answers for both of you guys. Do you know who I'm going to pick?
Onuma.
No, that isn't my pick. That's my go-to answer for if I could interview anybody. That's who it would be. But if I had to spend a whole day with somebody, I think it's got to be Masahiro Sakurai. I think that he just
I thought that might be it.
Yeah, he's in that same ilk as Kojima, as just thinks about things completely differently than anybody else I've ever heard speak about games. His YouTube channel is incredible. That was so much fun to follow over the last couple of years. And I just think, and this is no shade at anybody else in the industry, I just think from what I know of these people, Sakurai just seems like one of the smartest people making games. He just seems like a genius. And he is so productive and meticulous and thoughtful and intentional about everything he does. And just to see that process in person for one day would be so cool. And I don't know if I actually want to personally spend a day with someone, or more like be a fly on the wall in a day, and just see how do they operate and how do they tick, and what happens. What does it look like when he is making a Smash Brothers character or something like that? What's the process from start to finish? And we learned a lot of that, but there's still so much we don't know. And yeah, he's just incredible. I'm so happy he's working on another game for Nintendo. I was starting to worry that chapter was closed, but it's not yet. I can't wait. But Aonuma is guaranteed my answer for who would I want to interview. Absolutely. A Zelda-focused interview with Eiji Aonuma would be just amazing. Okay, I'm going to stop counting questions because I counted ahead while we were talking about that last one. We are going to cross 20, so I will make good on that promise. So let's get to this next one, which comes from Not a Robot, who asks, who would actually win in a source material accurate Smash Brothers? And I wish this question had come in any other week when we had time to really dig in, because we'll talk about it, but this is a show in of itself. So, Justin, who comes to your mind first? Who would win in a source material accurate Super Smash Brothers fight?
Yeah, I think that is a really good question, and I thought about it for a while, and I think that like part of what makes it tough is like, some characters are extremely powerful. Some characters have, can command legions of followers. Some have, frankly, cartoon style plot armor and things like that. And so it's tough. So when I was thinking about this, so we saw this question a while ahead of time. I was thinking, okay, I think if every single Smash character fought every single Smash character, like one on one, nobody goes undefeated. So everybody has at least somebody that would probably defeat them in at least one encounter. And so if I accept that I can name a character that you could name a character that would defeat, then I think I go with Ganondorf. I think that his physical power is exceptional, and the effective immortality and frankly lack of a power ceiling granted to him by the Triforce of Power means that I think that at the end of the day, with two exceptions on the list, I think that he pretty effectively would body everybody.
Because Ganondorf's only really killed with the Master Sword, so Link is the only one who can do it, and he usually needs Zelda's help, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly. And even if we say that, okay, great, let's say like, Link 1v1 sim, that's fine. There's other people who would that 1v1 Link that Ganondorf would do it. And by the time we do all the cast math, I think that, in my opinion, I think Ganondorf comes out on top.
Is that who wins the most one-on-one duels?
I think so.
So
I think that's largely
okay.
my criteria.
Yeah, no, that's a good pick for that criteria. Because that's smart, because I had actually just crossed all the villains off my list because there's a hero that beats them.
Because they all get beaten by the heroes.
Canonically,
Right.
they all get beat by their counterpart that is also in Smash Brothers. But no, you make a good point. If there's 86 characters in Smash Bros. If everyone has 85 one-on-ones, who wins the most? It probably is Ganondorf. That's a really good pick. A lot of people say Kirby. That's the go-to answer.
I love that
People
one.
say Kirby. Kirby can inhale anything. He does have godlike powers, but he can die. Kirby can take 5 hits and die, so I've never agreed with just jumping. It's Kirby. That's it. I think there's people that could beat Kirby.
Have you watched the Brian David Gilbert video on this?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh my God. Yeah, I'll send it to you after the show. It's one of
So
the
do you think
funniest
it's
things
Kirby?
I've ever seen on the internet. I think he makes a compelling argument as to why it is Kirby. But like you said, it's, he has godlike powers. I mean, I think Joker having a gun probably helps, right? Like,
Or Snake with just explosives.
yeah, I'd put them pretty high on the tier list, with actual weapons.
But this is source material accurate, though. A lot of people
Joker
in this, so they can take shots and live.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's true.
Yeah.
Does Joker get to go into everybody's mind palace? Like, what?
Yeah. I think
And just like then they just enter their deepest regrets and they just run away from the
yeah,
fight. At the end.
he doesn't defeat them, but they all reform.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the question is raised of what do they all have access to? Because my answer, which nobody I don't think raised in our chat about this, if Sonic has the Chaos Emeralds and he's Super Sonic, he's basically Goku,
Stuff. Yeah.
and he doesn't lose.
Yeah.
I don't think he loses to pretty much anybody. Like if he has the Chaos Emeralds, because it's like a ripoff of Goku, and I think if Goku was in this, he'd win every time. So I don't know. That's where my gut goes. But if it's just Sonic and he doesn't have the Chaos Emeralds, but why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he have them? So I don't know. That's my pick if he has the Chaos Emeralds. If not, Kirby is a compelling argument. I really like the case Justin laid out for Ganondorf, though.
I suppose my counterpoint is, in my experience, every time you're Sonic, you just immediately run off the edge of the level and die yourself.
Okay, well, that's not source material accurate. That may be accurate to your life. But
that is actually my source material.
Source material. Is there anyone we're forgetting to bring up that would just, I don't know, no one said
Just
Mario.
decimate.
He's never lost.
Yeah.
I feel like Mewtwo's up there for me. Like,
That's not bad.
there's some pretty powerful stuff that he can pull off.
Palutena is literally a goddess,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
Does Dr. Mario get to give everybody some medicine before the fight?
No, I don't think so.
Bayonetta looks like a wild game.
Oh yeah. So speaking of power scale, that was the other one I thought of. Is if you play the Bayonetta games, it's ridiculous. It's like Devil May Cry. It's absolutely her just kicking and punching and shooting like gods. Again, lower accurate. Bayonetta is pretty high up there.
What about Sora, Sephiroth? I don't know. Sephiroth, I think, is a
about that
similar
too,
argument to Ganondorf.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but Cloud beats him, right? Like,
Yeah, but Link beats Ganondorf. That was the argument, Mike.
Mm.
well, that's
Is
what I'm
Cloud
saying.
as special
Then
as Link?
I would
Probably
pick
enough.
Link, or I would pick.
I think I don't think anybody here goes
Cloud.
undefeated, and like I think I think Link beats Ganondorf, but I don't think Link beats more people than Ganondorf.
So if you throw all 86 into a pit, who's coming out?
Well, not
Like
Pit,
if we
if you
look
threw
at it from
everybody
that
at him.
angle, not Pit.
Kirby's just
That was good.
flapping
It probably
his
is
way out of the
Kirby.
pit.
Yeah, if it's a free for all with everybody, it probably is Kirby. But yeah, I like thinking about it from other ways too. There's more to talk about this, but we should move on. Thank you for the great question. The next one comes from Thomas. Thomas has 2 questions. First one is, what Nintendo/video game YouTube channels do you all recommend? Chris Shriver.
I really like Scott the Waz. I like Bob Wolf at Wolf Den. If you're into hardware specifically, he does a lot with like emulation hardware. I mean, Nintendo Life. I watch like every video those guys put out. I think Xeon is like the man. Felix is. I mean, they all are. I used to be really into Kind of Funny. I'm not really as much anymore. I think I just watch too much of their content, quite honestly, for too long. Yeah, those are probably the main ones that I'll check out usually. Everything else is like tech stuff, like LTT and MKBHD and all that.
Justin, do you watch YouTube? No, okay.
No.
Yep. It is true. Whenever a YouTuber comes up in a conversation with Justin, he's
I'm
like,
lost.
I don't know who that is.
My eyes glaze over. I do not listen. Like I frankly I couldn't name any, and Chris just said like 5 of them.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? Another one. Retro Game Core is another good emulation one.
That sounds
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to shout out IGN and IGN Games, which is pretty good from what I hear. I hear they have a Nintendo show that goes up every Friday morning.
Good.
Nintendo voice chat, so you should go check that out. And then
Never heard of
Zeltic is a really good Zelda YouTuber. Makes really good Zelda lore deep dives, timeline deep dives, stuff like that. He's a cool guy. And then probably my favorite channel that I wish there were more videos on because I binged the whole channel the month I discovered it. Game Maker's Toolkit. Have you guys ever heard of this one?
Yes,
It is
that one's really
the
good.
best. Yeah, it's so good. And it basically there's a series called Boss Keys that dives into the dungeon design of every Zelda game. And there's a video dedicated to each Zelda game, and he has this way of laying out the progression of a dungeon on these flowcharts that he designed. And basically, if a flowchart is really long, it means that's a very linear dungeon with not much player choice. If a flowchart is very wide, it means that there's a lot of branching paths you could go down. And so he grades these dungeons and breaks them down and analyzes them and really puts pen to paper on why the best dungeons are the best ones. And you see, oh wow, this one's so wide. You get a key and there's 4 doors you can go in with that key. And then from there you find this many keys and then you have this many doors open to you. But then by the time you get to something like Skyward Sword, it's you have 1 key, it goes to 1 door. You get another key, it goes to 1 door. And you see, wow, this all really fell apart pretty shortly after the N64 era. There's very good dungeons in the whole series, but in terms of these puzzle box things for the 3D games, Ocarina does it the best, and it's not even really close. It's just far and away the best one, which is why I always say that on this show. So yeah, that channel's just awesome.
2 more that I want to shout out. The one is probably pretty obvious, but No Clip. If you've never watched a No Clip documentary, you owe it to yourself to watch those. Danny O'Dwyer does like really long form interviews with developers. They're really, really well done. He has a lot of archival footage of like old games if you're into that. There are 2 or 3 done at Valve. If you're a fan of Half-Life, definitely check those out. There's another one that I discovered a couple months ago. I don't think they post that often, but it's Good Blood. There's a video called Ocarina of Time, a masterclass in subtext. It literally like changed the way I look at that game. That's one of the best
video.
videos I've ever seen on YouTube. It's unbelievable.
Great video. It's like when people
you should
tell
absolutely
you,
watch it.
oh, I don't like Ocarina, it's not one of the darker Zeldas. Yes, it is. Go watch that video.
Yeah,
like, come
yeah,
on.
watch that video. You'll change your mind.
Yeah, that video rules. It's really good. And then I like Good Vibes Gaming. John Cartwright, formerly at Nintendo Life, over there.
Oh,
now,
he's great. Yeah.
Does so much Nintendo content. for them. Really good. And then I watch Some Kind of Funny. I watch Game Showdown, which is a game show they do on Fridays, and usually they play a video game version of Family Feud, which is just fun. I love game shows. I love game trivia. It's perfect. It's a fun watch. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me, I think. Yeah. Next question, also from Thomas. What titles are not on NSO that need to be added? Donkey Kong 94. Donkey Kong 64. End of list. No, there's
Diddy
more
Kong
than
Racing.
that. But Diddy Kong Racing. Yeah, those are my big ones right now, but that's just because of the kick I'm on. Any come to mind? Because the library is pretty huge at this point.
It's pretty expansive. I mean, the Pokemon games, I know people keep like clamoring for that.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted them to do the Pokemon games and then have integration with Stadium 1 and 2. Because there was a leak forever ago that like that's built into their emulator, but they're just not doing it for whatever reason. Yeah, I can't think of many others. They'll never put Conker's Bad Fur Day on there, I don't think.
That'd be funny though.
That'd be great.
That would be funny.
That'd be so great.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't have a very complete picture of what is all on there. Just like a quick cursory search, though, it sounds like they are missing, like the original Super Smash Brothers, Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
Oh my
Diddy Kong
god, yeah,
Racing.
I didn't even realize that.
And so, like, I mean, it sounds like there's some big ones that they're missing. Things like GoldenEye. I understand why they're not there.
I think GoldenEye is on there.
GoldenEye's there now.
They may have eventually got through the licensing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I see another mention for like Killer Instinct, which is awesome. One of the coolest fighting games from back in that generation. Actually, the one they have on Xbox, which they haven't updated in a million years, is like really good too. But Killer Instinct was like one of the original like, wow, this game is way cooler than everything else kind of games. With a really cool cast of characters, including a man made out of fire and a giant werewolf and whatever the heck Fulgore is. And so like that'd be a cool one.
Yeah.
Is Gunstar Heroes on there on the Genesis? Do we know?
I have never opened the Genesis app. I
Oh, wow.
can't tell you. I know some of the Sonic games are missing, but I think that's probably because there's the Sonic Origins on there. They want you to buy instead. Would be my guess. But they're technically missing.
Oh, it is on there. Good. Yeah, Gunstar Heroes is on there.
I don't know. NSO's gotten pretty complete, which is why I don't want them to tear it down. Please leave it up. It's so great. Yeah. Next one comes from Tim, and we'll adjust this one a little bit because we don't have time for this. But Tim says, "Sorry to add to the question email sack." No, I'm excited about how much we have. But for the amount of music talk, we never got an official tier list of music by franchise. So I think what we should do is just your top 3. What 3 series do you think of for Nintendo when you think of great music? What are they? Justin, Zelda. What are the other 2?
Obviously, Zelda's one of them. I think that's a pretty easy one.
It is.
As far as other games with music that stands out, like I don't want to steal Chris's thunder, but like honestly, the Donkey Kong Country series has like bangers. And I'm not just talking the DK rap that we know that Chris could do unprompted, but like throughout, it's really good. As far as the other ones go, I adore the Star Fox soundtrack, like from the original one. Like from Corneria on, like it's so good.
Dun, 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 dun. That's all I know. Dun, 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 dun. There's other songs in Star Fox.
We're about to get a copyright strike because that's so 1-to-1.
Yeah, that was too accurate.
Yeah, and so yet another reason why I would like the Star Fox series to continue is because the music is excellent.
Did you have 3? Oh, Donkey Kong, Star Fox, Zelda. Yes,
Those are my
Zelda's number 1 for me. It's just the best.
It might be number 1 in gaming.
It is for me, for sure, for music. Yeah, seeing that in concert with Justin at Nintendo Live was amazing. And
Incredible.
You could do that with a lot of series, but Zelda, it's so much music that just evokes so much emotion for so many different moments, both in the games and just in my personal life. It's the best, and the music is so great. And I know a lot of people, classic fans, don't like the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom stuff. I love that soundtrack too. They're very different, but I love what they have to offer also. So Zelda's number 1.
Man, when you get to the castle in like Breath of the Wild and you hear like Zelda's Lullaby and things like that, oh my god, it is incredible.
Mario, I think, is my number 2. And sorry for just picking the 2 most basic Nintendo franchises, but
I'm
Galaxy,
with you.
Mario Odyssey.
Oh, Galaxy!
Mario Odyssey soundtrack is so great.
Yeah.
And I lean towards Odyssey over Galaxy, but Galaxy's orchestral melodies are gorgeous, and I feel like Galaxy specifically set off an era of Nintendo music we're still in, of live recorded inner room music. The Galaxy games do it. Odyssey does it. Mario Kart 8, if we're lumping that in with Mario Kart 8 soundtrack is so good. Yeah, Mario has to be number 2. And then the song that plays at the end of Odyssey, that vocal track is just excellent, and I still listen to it all the time. It's the most Sonic Mario has ever been. I'd be picking Sonic if it was a Nintendo franchise, but it's not. That would be my third.
Speaking of just being like basic and predictable, I just Googled it just to check. You know who composed the soundtrack for Star Fox 64?
Who?
Koji Kondo.
Koji Kondo.
Yeah. Makes sense. And for my third, F-Zero jumps to mind immediately. That soundtrack rules. Just metal, pedal to the metal all the way in that series.
GX
really
especially.
Good. GX,
like,
yeah, specifically GX.
Excellent.
But other than that, I'm trying to think of what would jump clearly to my mind as my third, and nothing's coming. So I'll think for a third. Chris, you go.
I mean, I would put Animal Crossings on there, in the top 5 at least. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll just wrap up now because I thought of my third. It's Splatoon.
Yeah.
It's definitely Splatoon.
That was the other one I was going to mention. Yeah, the identity that
yeah.
music brings to that game, or that franchise, like it's so essential to that game.
You know it's good when Logan goes to literal Splatoon Burning Man in game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think any video game franchise has more lore for its in-game music than Splatoon. I'm even including GTA Radio. Splatoon's got more. It's got it beat. Yeah. So Chris, what are you going with? Mario, Splatoon?
It's probably Mario,
Animal
Zelda,
Crossing.
or I'm sorry, Zelda, Mario, probably Donkey Kong after that.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to those soundtracks constantly, but it's a tough call. It's like it's probably those 5. I would throw Pokemon in there as well. Probably the first like 3 generations. There's some really great orchestral arrangements that people have put out of those games that are really, really good. Johto Legends is one I would recommend people check out. And then there's another one. I can't remember the name of it. But there's a couple like Pokemon Symphonic Orchestra albums available on Spotify that you should check out.
More coming to mind. Earthbound. Oh, the Earthbound.
Oh, Earthbound's
is,
dude. Yeah, it's so good.
It's the only one of any of these I have on vinyl, so I think that has to go into my list. It's phenomenal. Amazing.
Yeah, I'm like trying to imagine my my vinyl library in my head right now.
Yeah.
Can we
has
choose
great music.
Can we choose the Wii eShop?
Oh, yes, that's good. The Mii Maker.
the Mii Maker.
Sports Resort. Yeah. Good stuff there. All Nintendo music is so good. Fire Emblem has awesome soundtracks. And the 3DS games have really, really good tunes. Xenoblade, not super familiar with it. Really good soundtracks, though, from what I've played of the Xenoblade series.
If you haven't heard the original, the soundtrack to the original Pilot Wings, also, it's a banger.
We didn't even say Metroid. That's crazy. How did we not even say Metroid?
I thought about
Metroid.
Metroid.
It's really good.
It is. It's really good. I just didn't clock the top 3.
It's very
it's
atmospheric.
definitely not top 3.
It's not as many earworms and more so sets the mood. Yeah. Well, sorry, we did not do a tier list. Instead, we just gushed about pretty much every Nintendo franchise's music. But yeah, I think if we were to actually sit down, Zelda would be number 1, and it'd be unquestioned. Yeah. It's the best. Then Chad asks 3 questions, and I'll just ask them all now, and you can pick and choose what you want to share for these 3. Because there's some big ones, some big stories could come from these. Chad asks, what are some of your favorite Nintendo-related memories? What have been some of your favorite experiences in your career in gaming journalism so far? Do you have any career aspirations in gaming journalism or beyond that you're excited to pursue and accomplish someday? I'll go first. I'm ready to go on all of these, so I'll give you guys some time to think, and I'll go first. I think that a lot of the first and second questions tie together for me at this point, just because I've been very, very lucky to see some awesome Nintendo-related stuff in my career already. I think I will never forget going to E3 for the first time. That was just a dream that anybody who wanted to get into this industry had, to go to E3. And to look at it back now, I went in 2017 and 2018, really the last 2 real years of E3. 2019 was not even really a real E3. And to get in at the very end, when E3 still meant something before the big decline, and to go and see the Nintendo display of New Donk City, and they had crazy cap stores set up, and to stand in line for 2 hours to play 10 minutes in New Donk City, I'll never forget it. It was a dream come true. It was my first year writing for my first website, Nintendo Wire, at the time. And yeah, that was a really, really special week. And to go back the next year and to be in this hotel conference room my website had rented out to cover the Nintendo digital event, and it was the Smash Brothers one, and the way that room popped off when it said everyone is here, yeah, that was one of the most hype moments of my life. People lost it. Just incredible stuff when Snake appeared in that trailer. It's still my favorite trailer to this day because of that. And then going to something like Nintendo Live and PAX with Justin in 2023 and playing the first public hands-on of Mario Wonder with Justin and interviewing Doug Bowser and seeing this new event for Nintendo realized at a very critical point in my career, because I was interviewing for the job that I have now. Just really vivid, memorable time in my head that's special. And obviously there's so many Nintendo related memories outside of my career, like just growing up with my family playing these games, watching my dad play Wind Waker and plunge the sword into Ganondorf's forehead and just being shocked. I'll never forget that. And yeah, I've talked about all the stories on the show, but I'll stop there because that's enough. And then career aspirations in gaming journalism or beyond that I'm excited to pursue and accomplish someday. I think the biggest thing that I want to do before I'm done in gaming journalism, whenever that is review a Zelda game at IGN. That's it. That's the one I want to, and a 3D one specifically. Like that is, you all know if you listen to the show, that's the series for me. That's the one that I look forward to. That's what is so memorable to me from every generation of Nintendo is what is the Zelda game on that platform. And I think Justin and I have talked about it a lot. Like to be able to put the IGN number on something means something to us. It's a responsibility we take very seriously. And to me, growing up, it was always, okay, what's the like Metacritic score? What's the overall consensus? And what's the IGN score? Those are the two things I always cared about. And I'm not just saying that because I work there now. It's true. That's the number to me. And so to review a Zelda game would be really, really special. And then to cover this console launch that's coming up, I think this year is going to be a really exciting special one too, with Switch 2, everything that's going to bring over on NBC and IGN. I can't wait for it. Who wants to go next?
I guess I can go.
Okay.
Favorite Nintendo related memory. I think I've told the story on here before, but it was the Wii launch. Trying to get a Wii when there's a fever pitch. Everybody wants them. They're impossible to get. I'm logged into so many different tracker websites, and I'm learning the inventory schedule of like there's this little cluster, the shopping mall that doesn't really exist anymore in Seattle, where you have a Best Buy right next to a Target, right next to like a Sears. I think that was still around at the time, and like always knowing when the shipments came in, and planning out like when to potentially camp out overnight, and camping out overnight one night to get the Wii, and getting to the morning when their shipment arrives, and then they hand out tickets, and then there's like 5 tickets, and I'm number 7 in line, and I find out that I've stayed in line all night, and I'm not getting a console, and then doing it again and having to stay in line all night again in order to get it, and like my wife like running out and getting like McDonald's in the middle of the night and just munching on that in line while we stay up. It was so much fun. Like honestly, it's those midnight launches were a great time. You have so much camaraderie with the people you're in line with. Like you're all there for the same reason. So there's a shared fandom. It's not that unlike being at like a PAX or something like that. And then getting it home and being too tired to really do anything and just going to sleep for a while. It was so much fun, and I miss stuff like that for sure.
Mm-hmm. I know people will never know when the game just unlocks now at 9 p.m. Pacific time and you're playing it. It's not the same. It isn't.
Oh yeah, and that was peak. Like I remember being at the midnight release for Halo 2 and Halo 3 and other games like that. Because like you had to make sure you got a hard copy because they could sell out of other copies, and then you're out of luck until new copies arrive. It's better nowadays, but I miss aspects of that. Favorite gaming experiences in my career so far. I've been fortunate, honestly. Sort of similar to Logan, for me, like IGN was always the website of record for me. That was the one that I really aspired to. When I decided to try to freelance, I did it as somebody who didn't have any background in writing. I didn't have a college degree in anything, and the little bit of college I did do was like math and engineering type stuff. And pursuing it, like, to me, the pipe dream, the ultimate goal was, if this all led up to me eventually landing a review at IGN, like that would be incredible. That would be fantastic. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do that, and I'm lucky enough that they apparently like me enough that they have me do quite a few reviews for them each year, and so like that's really cool and really special. But I will say, of if there's like a specific moment that again stands out for me, it is one of my earlier reviews. Um, and it's I got maybe I'm a glutton for punishment, and that's why it's kind of similar to my waiting outside story. But it was like we were just about to get the launch of Tears of the Kingdom, so this is a pretty recent one. And right before the game launches, I get a message from Dan Stapleton, reviews editor over at IGN, and it's like, "Hey, will you review will you review Gollum for us?" And I'm, of course, I'm not going to say no to that. And so I'm playing Gollum when Tears launches, and it is like, and it's a surprisingly long game. And so I'm like, everybody is playing Zelda, and I'm secretly the entire time just playing Gollum the entire time, just miserable out of my mind. And yeah, just looking back, I think of that actually very fondly. It's just this very funny happenstance, where it's like, as anticipated as a game could possibly be, and then I'm stuck reviewing the absolute flaming piece of trash that was Gollum.
I remember that at the time because it delayed our spoiler cast until August, because we were talking about the game, and then I'd finished it in June, and then I was like, Justin, you ready to do our spoiler cast? Now I'm still behind from reviewing Gollum. And we got there eventually. Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. And then do you have anything for the last one? Any aspirations that you want to pursue?
Yeah, that's a hard one, honestly. Like, I don't foresee myself being like ever making like a full-time jump into the industry like Logan's able to, and some of that is frankly because I'm older and I have a family, and like I have a day job that pays me well enough to support a family of four, and that would be really difficult to do starting from the ground floor at a large outlet. And frankly, the industry is tough. There's not a lot of people who make a good livable wage, and so even if I saw an opportunity like that, realistically one that could frankly be enough to support my family for, would be really, really hard to imagine. Long term, I will say, like, you know, if you really want to know what I really want to do in the industry for as long as I can remain in the industry, I do want to stick around. And there's sort of like I've written some pieces that I think are pretty unique and interesting. You could look at something like a preview I did at digitaltrends.com for this game Pacific Drive, where it's about basically it's a spooky station wagon game, and I drove out into the woods with them in a spooky station wagon, hoping not to get murdered, and wrote a whole story about that. Like, I want to do that sort of stuff. I want to write with a unique voice and write things from a unique angle that other people don't do. I want to do things that are where like there's a story beyond just talking about a game in a preview. Like, I want to tell real stories, and like sometimes interview pieces, but not necessarily. If anything, I sort of have an aspiration of, I would love to keep doing things like this, and I've got some good relationship with PR folks, and they know I like this sort of thing. But like, I can do almost this like Hunter S. Thompson like beat of like going on these just bizarre adventures and getting people out of the normal element and getting developers out of the conference room and out of the studio in the office, and like really, really like shooting the breeze with them. And again, as a journalist, there is a layer, like, and frankly, I think a lot of journalists don't do a good job of penetrating that layer, and they just ask basic questions to get your basic answers back. But if you spend enough time, if you build enough rapport, if you get to know them, and you can like really, really like figure out like who they are as a person, they get to know you, that can be really cool, and you can end up writing really cool pieces. I did a preview for this boxing game, Undisputed, which is really, really good. IGN gave it a 6. Should have given it a higher score in my opinion, but I didn't review it. That was my buddy Andrew McMahon. But like, I flew down to LA and I watched some fights like with the developer, and when we put the story together, like I wove stories about the fights in and out with the game, and how the fights inform how the game is designed, and I love that, and that's what I want to do. I want to continue to do stuff like that, and then long term, my hope is that for as long when I do eventually exit the industry, because most of us probably aren't going to be here ultra long term. It's like I hope that I've left some sort of impact and some sort of note, and like there is some people who remember some of the pieces that I wrote, and there's some sort of ripples in the industry that say I was here at one point.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true already for you. I feel that way. Yeah. Chris Shriver, what are your answers to these trio of hard hitting questions?
Favorite Nintendo related memories. The first one that I think of is, I mean, I was literally 3, but getting the N64 for Christmas and seeing, which I've told that story before, but seeing Bowser for the first time, like my head just exploding.
I'm so old.
I know. You are.
No.
And there's that one, and then there's my brother Kevin. My buddies, we used to, like, every weekend, like, somebody would host a sleepover in middle school, and the weekend that the Wii came out, we were at my house. We were playing Gears of War, and we were passed out in the family room, and it was like 10 in the morning, and my brother walks in, and he used to, like, go out to the club and go out drinking with his buddies, and he left the club that night and then was like, new Nintendo's coming out tonight. Oh, like, got in line at Toys R Us, ended up getting one, and he walked in and we were asleep. He's like, yo, wake up. And we were like, what's going on? And he's like, what are you playing? Or no, yeah, that's right, because we were already awake. He was like, what are you playing? And we were like, Gears of War. Why? He's like, oh, you should be playing this. And he threw a Nintendo Wii at me. And we were like,
is
what?
the best.
Oh my God. It was like, it's like burned into my memory.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And because my mom, like, gave him a hard time. She's like, give it to him at Christmas. He's like, F that, I'm giving it to him right now.
Yeah.
It's like I just stood in line in November for however many hours. Like, I'm giving it to him.
That's great.
Yeah, that's the one that really sticks out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite experiences in my career. I mean, I used to love covering E3 with the social team at IGN. Obviously, it was always remote because, like, a lot of my tenure there was during COVID. I never did get to attend, and I only had like 1 or 2 opportunities presented to me of, like, hey, would you want to go travel? Or, like, at one point, remember that Men in Black movie that was coming out, or that came out with Chris Hemsworth? They had asked if I wanted to, like, go to the premiere of that, and, like, I couldn't get off of work, and like I had, like, a million things going on. Like, I just it was in New York. I would have to drive myself and pay for it, and I was like, I can't do this. And I do wonder, like, had I taken them up on that, would, like, things have worked out a little differently? But, like, to Justin's point, like, I'm very much in a position where, like, I am the breadwinner in my relationship, and now we have a family, and me having a tech focused career is probably going to be the thing that I do for pretty much forever, in some capacity. And I had a really hard time with that for a really long time, and I think I've come to terms with it at this point. It's just a matter of, like, okay, well, how do I make the most of that? And really, at the end of the day, for me, it's like, what can I do that's going to give my family the best life that they can have and the best experiences that they can have? So as far as career aspirations, like, there's a part of me that I'm like, yeah, it would be super fun to work at a development studio in some type of IT capacity, assisting developers. Like, that's basically what I do now. It's just not, it's for a healthcare company. It's not for, gaming, obviously, but, working directly with developers for sure. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know, guys, the industry's kind of toxic right now. Like, companies are closing down left and right. Like, and AI is, like, replacing a bunch of careers, and, like, I'm pretty comfortable with where I'm at. So, like, I think I'm also kind of like, you know what? I've been doing podcasting since 2017. And this episode is probably going to be the last thing that I do for a while, maybe ever. I don't work for any gaming related companies. Like this is the mark of me becoming a normal person again. I'm not going to feel like I have to buy every first party Nintendo game day one just so I can talk about it on the podcast. Like I can just purchase the games that I think I'm realistically going to play and going to want to play. And I think that list is going to look differently based on the time that I have available and eventually me playing it with James, or if there's like the occasional co-op game that I play with my wife. And it's not like I don't have a backlog of other stuff to play anyway. So like in a weird way, I feel like I'm good. Like did things shake out the way that I wanted them to? Not really. Like Logan's basically living the life that I thought I would have when I was like 10, but like I'm cool. Like I got to be a part of his journey. And he's killing it. He's doing a way better job than I ever would have done.
No,
he's an amazing person.
True.
Like I'm way happier knowing that that's what's going on in the world than not like if it was some jerk like hosting MVC that like knew nothing, I'd be like, well, why is this happening? It should have been me. Like, like with me, it's like, no, like Logan should absolutely be the one doing what he's about to go on and do.
That's so sweet. Thanks, man.
Yeah. Like I just, I think I'm just at the point where I'm like, no, I'm good. Like I got a house, I got a wife, I got family all around me. Like I'm good.
Yeah, that's great. That is a great place to be. And I'm happy for you, man. Those were great answers, guys. Good stuff. Thank you, Chad, for sending in those questions. I promised these guys we wouldn't go over 2 hours, and we are creeping towards it. So we have a few more questions to get, and then my mystery final segment, which I'm still very excited about. So let's get to this one from Rachel, who asks, a wizard appears and says they will let you know one Nintendo secret. What would you like to know? Who's got one for this first?
Why'd you sell Rare, Nintendo? Why'd you do it? You had a good thing going.
300 million reasons.
Well, did they sell Rare, or did they just not step in when they were bought?
I thought Nintendo owned Rare.
I don't think they ever owned Rare. Yeah, you're right.
I think they owned like 40% or some huge percentage.
Yeah, but they didn't
Yeah,
they had an opportunity to like take full ownership over it, and they're like, "Now we're good." Yeah.
That's a good one. They made so many of their games.
Yeah,
it's kind of unbelievable what their output was, and now they're making Everwild. Apparently, we don't know.
Are they though?
The game in 4 years. Yeah, and Sea of Thieves, which is very successful.
They made Sea of Thieves, which is incredible.
Yeah. Justin,
what exactly is Reggie's body ready for?
There it is. Yeah, it was for Wii Fit at the time, I believe. Is the official answer, but we'll never know the truth. Mine is, I've told this on the show before, but it's that what did Twilight Princess look like in its first 2 years of development? Because early screenshots and anecdotes from people who saw the game early say it was a much different thing, even creepier and weirder and more just out there than it ended up being. And Miyamoto stepped in and reworked a lot of it, and they changed it. They made it more in line with Ocarina of Time. What was that game going to be? How weird and horror inspired was Twilight Princess originally? Because it's still a very dark, twisted game, but it looked very different at one point, and I love the game we got. It's one of my favorites, but I'm just curious, like, for a look inside, if I could know one thing that we will never know, it's that for sure. I want to play that game. There's like a giant dragging a tree through the woods or something like that is the screenshot I've heard people talk about before. What was that? Yeah, I don't know. But that's what I'd want to know. And then here's our final question from Yo Shizzle, who asks, what is your favorite memory from the boardroom? Do you have a particular announcement, review, or Discord moment that stuck out? Chris Shriver.
During the Nintendo Direct, when they announced, the first thing that comes to mind, when they announced Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, and you and I just losing it, like just cracking up, like, oh my god, are you kidding me? And actually, like, I'm happy they did it.
Yeah,
but like, it was just like, this is the Donkey Kong game we're getting. Okay. Yeah, that was just like one of the funniest things in the world to me. I don't know why.
I thought when you said during the direct, I thought you were going to say when Switch Sports basketball got announced. Because that was really funny too. Because I was furiously working on the direct for the database, and then I pop into Discord, and you were all like, "I can hear Logan laughing right now," and then I was there for that. That was a good one. Yeah, Justin, how about you?
Ooh, boy, I have a couple, so it's hard to narrow it down. I would say anytime we've gotten together in person, representing the boardroom at things like Nintendo Live or checking out previews of Echoes of Wisdom and things like that has been really, really special. So I've loved that stuff. Honestly, the guests that we've managed to have on, folks like Kat Bailey, like Brian Shea, like that was very much like oh my god, these are like industry superstars and they're on our little podcast. So like that was really really huge for me. But honestly, it's all when you have friends, like actual legitimate friends, right? You develop all these inside jokes, all these little bits, and that is absolutely what I take away from the most from this show. I love how that tribe is always extra but never wrong. I love that everybody knows as soon as I get this dumb look on my face that I'm about to make Logan cringe so hard. And between that boardroom on the fact that we like just took the phrase "inmates running the asylum" to be the official like mantra of any show when Logan wasn't around. Or like so much of this like has happened on the show. A lot of it has happened in the Discord with our community and folks there. But like to me, like 10 years from now, when I look back on this show, like I know that is going to be the stuff that I really feel like that camaraderie and friendship between us, between members of our community, and all those little inside jokes. And to me, that's a big part of what is so special about the boardroom.
Yeah, I agree. It's I said this on episode 100 and I stand by it. Like this is the show I always wanted to make. This specifically, I've done a ton of shows on varying topics, podcasts, radio shows in college, whatever, and always I just wanted to basically copy NBC, right? That's what I always wanted to do. And then we did it. And I just feel like having the group chemistry we have and the knowledge we have about Nintendo to be able to make a show that at its core is always on topic, informative, and discussion based about this company we all love and care about in these games. But then you just have the silliness as kind of the wrapper around it all. That's great. It's everything I wanted it to be. And so I look back, I loved episodes like episode 100, the 4 giants of Nintendo history. That was just a wonderful episode. The Tears of the Kingdom spoiler cast, Justin and I did, split across 2 parts, 3 hours long, talking about this game that we loved. Just
got longer.
Talking about Chris Shriver and Mario Strikers is the one that always comes to my mind, though.
The
I'll
butt
never
clencher.
forget that one. The butt clencher is a hilarious moment. And yeah, just week in, week out doing this show was an absolute blast, and it's been a pleasure and an honor. And yeah, so I agree with you, Justin. There's not one specific thing. It is just sitting down and having a great show and going out there every week and feeling right after we finish recording, wow, that was a great episode, and I'm proud to put that out there in the world. And yeah, it's just been a blast, and I will miss it. I will definitely miss it. We did it. Good job, guys. That is the end of the listener questions. Or maybe we have one secret bonus one coming up. You'll find out. But first, we have to move on to Logan's mystery final topic. I'm very excited about this. I wrote a poem. To conclude the boardroom. The poem is entitled Logan's Confession. Okay? And I'm not a poet, but I took a crack at it. The total runtime of this is going to be roughly 2 minutes and 50 seconds from the times I practiced it. So just so you know, so you're not like, wow, is this thing coming to an end soon? It's roughly 3 minutes long. And yeah, there's some light roasting of my fellow chairman, but you know I love you guys, so I know you can take it. There's some light roasting. And it all ends with a big reveal. Here we go. 123 shows. For the final time, the boardroom is on, and I have one last confession before we're gone. You've joined me to talk Nintendo for years, reviews, stories, and opinions in your ears. And as I reflect, I have one regret, so please, before it's too late, let me take a moment to clear the air about something I used to hate. But before I confess, let's hit the brakes and look back at some of our memorable takes over the last 123 shows. That's a lot of time talking, but don't think I'm walking back takes people just didn't like. Endless Ocean was bad. Brothership was just sad. And Emio the Smiling Man, yikes. It didn't take long to feel elation, with just a pinch of devastation, as our dear friend Odell got the break he deserved when he was scooped up by PlayStation. But we welcomed in the wonderful Justin to talk about Star Fox, but those games make me sleep deeper than Eventide's Hinox. I'm most proud of that one. That is my favorite rhyme in this game. Okay. Speaking of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom turned out just fine, but I'd never dare call it Princess Zelda Showtime. Tears is better than Breath of the Wild, even though Shrives couldn't finish because he had a child. I liked Mario Strikers more than most, but its lack of content was heart-wrenching. But raise your glass and let's all toast to Shriver's infamous butt clenching. And though at the time they all said it was bold, Nintendo Switch Sports flew past 10 million sold. You hear that, Odell? The steak is getting cold. I can't believe it's been 123 shows. Nintendo Live alarm clocks and jamborees, Switch 2 rumors leading up to the tease, Penguin leakers, the best Paper Mario, Chris complaints about the new voice of Wario. And I can't remember how many times Chris was extra but not wrong, or one of Justin's dad jokes came along. But I'll never forget the honor of making awesome shows with my friends for life, my fellow chairman, the Asylum Bros. And to our lovely community, you've all been great. Thank you so much for listening. The boardroom is over, but I hope you'll stick with me as I finally got the thing. After 123 shows. Whoops, this went long. I meant to be brief. I should really get back to my town in New Leaf. Will we be back? Well, never say never, but all I know now is Boardroom Forever. And it takes a good chairman to be self-aware when he realizes that he's been wrong. So I want you to know on our last ever show that I'm so sorry, Donkey Kong. Before the boardroom goes off and we've all said enough, please let me finish this elegy by admitting that I am completely in love with the Donkey Kong Country trilogy. The end.
Let's go!
Incredible.
That's it.
A
Oh my
10 out
God.
of
What
10.
is my problem? I love
What
Donkey
is
Kong
your
Country
problem?
now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it took
Wow.
the entirety of the boardroom to come to this realization. So hopefully you enjoyed Logan's confession. I had a fun time writing that this week.
Mission complete.
That was incredible, Logan. What a perfect
Wow.
send off.
So let's talk about Donkey Kong Country for just a couple
yeah.
minutes here. Oh my God. I did it. I buckled down and I finally last weekend just said, I got to plow through these games. I said it was my New Year's resolution to beat these. And this was before I even knew that the boardroom was ending. I just said, I got to play these games. I have some time this weekend. It's snowing. It's like 3 degrees outside. I have nothing else to do. And I don't know. It just clicked this time. And I think that I just don't like the first couple worlds of Donkey Kong Country. And then it just picks up and is just wonderful. It still has problems. The minecart levels are way too difficult. The enemies show up and you just die, which is why Rewind is a godsend on Nintendo Switch Online. It makes them far more playable. You can get past some of the crap that just hasn't aged well. But oh my gosh, Donkey Kong Country 1 is fine, but 2 and 3, I love them. I love them to death now. The soundtrack is so amazing. It's so atmospheric. I've always loved the music, but playing it in context with the levels and swimming around as Diddy and Dixie in these beautiful choral underwater sections as that music is playing, I get it. I'm fully converted. They're awesome. They're great. They're some of the best platformers ever made. I am a complete convert to the ways of Donkey Kong Country.
He's seen the light.
You've
I
been
have some
banana
light.
pilled.
Yeah, totally. Tropical Freeze is still king. I am not one of those people that thinks Diddy's Conquest is the best. I also think that I think 3 is really underrated. I really liked Donkey Kong Country 3. Kiddy Kong, hate him so much. He should just be Donkey Kong. And then it might be the bet. People might look back more favorably on that. Kiddy Kong is weird. His onesie is weird. He's an unnecessary addition to the family. It's no wonder we've never seen him again. But Donkey Kong Country 3 being so aesthetically similar to the Pacific Northwest where I grew up, it looks like Seattle and the mountains and the lakes. It looks like where I grew up. And so to just play a platformer like that's also much cheerier than Country 2, which is very dark. That is a very dark game. Donkey Kong Island is devastated in that game. But 3 has huge summer camp vibes where you're riding the boat around the open map and going to Funky's to upgrade your boat with the piece that you found at the last boss. And the music is cheerier. Definitely a step down. It's a different composer. But I love them both. I recognize 2 is the best. Chris is going to say that the GBA version of Donkey Kong Country 3 has a soundtrack made. And I only cut you off and say that to prove I'm in this deep now. I am deep in the Donkey
So
Kong
happy that you
Country
already
lore.
knew that.
Yeah, they're incredible. I love them. I still think that they benefit greatly from Rewind and haven't aged super well. But I also think you can see how they improve. The level designs in 2 specifically are such a step up from 1, where at times you just feel like there's enemies plopped in these random places and not much thought behind some of it. But 2 and 3 introduce just really cool mechanics. I think even 1, when you're riding on a platform that's running out of gas, you have to jump and hit the fuel barrels to refuel the platform you're on. Or 3 has one where it's just a giant buzzsaw is climbing up this tree that you're climbing, so it's a nonstop one you have to run up. There's another one where you're climbing a rope that is burning, so you have to just stop at the right times to avoid projectiles coming from each side of the rope. Genius. And then, Chris, I went through 30 years of grief and processing and rage because I went and I said, why didn't they keep Rare? I was looking at what did Rare make after they were acquired by Microsoft? Nuts and bolts? A perfect Dark sequel nobody likes? What a mistake. This is terrible. I felt the anger that you have been living with your entire life.
My entire life.
Yeah, I get it. So that is my confession, and that brings us to our bonus question, which comes from Tim, who says, and I'm sure Tim was sweating when I said we were done, but I had to save the Donkey Kong Country question and tell my confession. And Tim asks, a curiosity nonetheless, when playing through Rare's Donkey Kong Country trilogy, one of the things that added magic to them in my younger days that I still like the charm of now was the buddies. Retro's duo kept Rambi, demoted Squawks to an item, and I don't recall any other reference to the rest of the bunch beyond that. If another studio picked the franchise up, would buddies be a mechanic you would like to see return in a more dominant position, or would you prefer to keep it Kongs only? Bonus question, who is your favorite buddy, and who would you hope to have return? Justin, I saw you nodding.
Yeah, I absolutely bring back the buddies. I love them. It was always such a great change of pace when you would get them, and a lot of times, like, if you could get them was a question of you just finding them to access them, either in like the bonus stages or things like that. And so it felt like such a perk and like a boon when you had them a lot of the time, and it was awesome. You would be faster, you would be on Rambi, you'd be running through everybody, you would be, I forget the swordfish's name, but like that would be essential for progress. I even just love like getting the bonus stages when you collect their coins, like just because they're fun to control and move around with. So yes, from the love of Kong, absolutely bring them back and make them a big part of the game. It's such a great way to diversify gameplay, and like you know, when you diversify the gameplay, when you go back to the more vanilla stuff, it keeps it feeling fresh too. So yes, 100%.
Chris?
Yeah. The fact, I don't know why they didn't bring back Unguard is his name, the swordfish.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't bring him back because, you know,
There's a lot of
not
levels
only
of Tropical Freeze.
like not only are is the music what, like, I feel like that's what people point to whenever they talk about the water levels in the Country series, but like playing those levels with that buddy is like just awesome because it doesn't play
fun.
like anything else in the game. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's an underwater level that's actually fun, and I feel like it would have, having him there in Tropical Freeze would have made those levels way more enjoyable.
Well, being able to do things
I
like
agree.
run and glide with the ostrich was really fun. I just thought like to me, anytime I think of Donkey Kong Country 2, I immediately think of the spider. I forget his name, but like first thing to come to mind anytime I picture that game.
The spider was the one I was going to shout out too because it's the one where you shoot out a web and then you hit A again to freeze that web and you've created a platform for yourself. It's really smart. And I like how there's no tutorials that pop up. They just spell out A or Y in bananas to tell you to hit that button to figure out that you can do something. It's very minimalist. Sure, it works. Why not? Yeah, great games. And then I hate myself sometimes because then
Squitter
I
the
even
spider.
had the same feeling. I've seen people criticize Returns and Tropical Freeze because their bonus rooms are copy paste across the adventure. They're not all individually handcrafted. And then I'm playing 2 and 3 where they are all handcrafted. Every time you find a bonus barrel, you're doing a unique challenge. And then I'm thinking about Returns and I'm like, why couldn't they have made just individual bonus levels? What are they doing? And yeah, fully converted, Donkey Kong Country is great. I think my,
I'm
my
so
ranking. No, go ahead.
I'm so glad you feel that way. And I will
Yeah.
say, I think people often forget to mention things like the barrel blast puzzles. I love those. Getting the timing right,
Yes.
lining them up
Mm-hmm.
properly, especially like when you have to incorporate like bouncing off of enemies and things like that. Like it
Mm-hmm.
feels skillful to do, and it feels really great to execute. There's so much fun.
Yeah. Or Kiddy Kong, who can bounce off the water of a lake, so you roll off the ledge and then bounce, 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 and get up somewhere high that you can only get to as him. It's really cool. Dixie Kong with her hair, she's way better to control in this game than in Tropical Freeze. Look at me, I sound like Chris Shriver.
I know.
It finally happened.
Logan
My
Yeah.
heart is so warm right now. Like this is everything I ever could have asked for.
Did you guys know that's what the confession was going to be? Because I've been hinting to you guys. I love them.
The fact that it hadn't come up yet, I had a feeling that's where
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
headed.
I was saving it
Yeah.
for the big reveal. And then I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, is Donkey Kong Country the most consistent Nintendo series there is? There's not a bad one. There's no bad one in the whole bunch of 5 of them. They're all so great. And we don't have time to get into that discussion, so I guess we'll never have it on this show, sadly. But just know, dear listeners, and I love Donkey Kong Country. It finally happened, and I'm so glad and then also sad because then I went through the whole devastation of realizing that they're gone. It's been so long since another one. But guys, I think that's it. I think that is the final episode of the Toadstool Boardroom in the books. We were a weekly Nintendo show here on Thursdays, but now we're not. Our episodes will remain up, and we'll still be on social media at Toadstool Boardroom on Blue Sky if you want to track the updates with the theme song, if we get that uploaded to Spotify or anything like that. And yeah, there's a game night this coming Sunday in the Discord. It's our championship of our Super Mario Party Jamboree tournament. I'm in that championship. I'll be streaming it in our Discord channel, so you can watch it if you want to. I think it's at 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, Pacific time. Yeah, but otherwise, that's a wrap. And I just want to say thanks one more time to all our listeners. We have an awesome community, and I expected to make a great show when I started this a few years ago. I expected I'd find a great group of guys. We'd make a great Nintendo show that I'd have fun making. I did not expect how many people would listen to it. It did exceed my expectations. Of all my personal projects, this one took off more than the rest of them, and it's just been so awesome interacting with all of you over the years. And that's not necessarily going to stop, right? We're keeping the Discord server open, but just one last huge thanks from me, because it's just been so much fun making this show the last 3 years. It's been one of the best experiences, and I will miss it. And I hope you'll come and tune into Nintendo Voice Chat each week, because I'm just beyond excited to be running that show now. It's why I started this show, right? If you go and look at the original Discord messages I sent to Odell and Chris, it was basically, I want to get these reps in. I want to practice. I want to make a show so that when this opportunity, if it comes knocking, I'm ready to go. And I'm so grateful it all shook out as it did. And it's just been a blast. And yeah, bittersweet, but it's been a great ride. Justin, any last shout outs for you or anything you want to plug? Where can people keep up with you?
Yeah, Logan, I'm so proud of you. I love you both dearly.
Thanks,
The community, I adore you all, and thank you so much for being with us on this crazy minecart ride. It has been an absolute privilege to be here with everybody across the board. If you do want to keep up with me, you can find me on Blue Sky. Just look for KOREIS. You should find me there. You'll find some guide videos near the end of the month about a very, very, very big game that I'll have worked on. And so I'll just continue to work on projects, reviews and previews and things like that. So just follow me there if you do want to keep up with it. And if you want to get my takes or see that I can still make Logan cringe, join our Discord, because I will continue to do so.
Yes, it will keep happening. Chris Shriver.
You can find me at Shrives93 all over the internet. I'm on Blue Sky. I probably post the most on Instagram. You can follow me there if you want to see just pictures of me, my house, my family. That's usually all that really goes up there. I'll obviously be in Discord. I'm in there pretty much every day. Yeah, otherwise, I mean, I don't have any projects other than the things that are going on in my personal life. But yeah, I'm so happy that to have met the pair of you, and to have been able to have been a part of this. This is definitely like the of the things that I've created on like my quote unquote professional gaming journey. Like this is definitely the thing I'm most proud of. And yeah, I mean, I'm glad that this is like the note that it's ending on. It's like, Logan achieved the dream and like gets to do the thing, and like I get to watch MVC every week now, just as a normal person, and be like, wow, I know him. Or anytime Justin gets a review at IGN, I could be like, oh, wow, I wonder what he thought of it. Oh, I guess I'll read about it instead of bugging him. Okay. Yeah. So and the community, like, you guys have been great. I love anytime somebody opens up a Pokemon card and I get that like immediate rage of jealousy.
It's the most active channel by far.
By
It's
far.
easily the most active
It's
channel.
not
is
even
that
close.
Pokemon channel.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that like game came out and that became a thing. But yeah, I'm super excited for the Switch 2 launch and like hear everybody's thoughts about it when that happens, because I'm sure like the channel is going to be popping off left and right. I'll make any edits to channels, as we need to moving forward. As things start to get announced and things like that. But yeah, thank you everybody for tolerating me and for letting me enter your lives and your ear holes and be a part of your gaming content consumption experiences.
I love both of you guys so much, and it's just been a blast, and I appreciate you guys coming on this show just so very much, more than I think you guys will ever know. Just really, really appreciate it, and appreciate everyone out there for listening so much as well, and I hope you'll stick with me on NVC. I can't wait. First episode goes up very shortly after this one. We're talking Mario Kart, and it was a lot of fun, but I think for now, that's all the time I got. I got to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll not be back next week, sadly. This is the end. We hope you've enjoyed the ride of the Toadstool Boardroom, and for now, Boardroom Forever.
Boardroom Forever.
Boardroom Forever.